So Ian, what I'd like you to do is to walk from this street corner, across Bing Place, along the pavement, and to the street corner by Waterstones, where there's a man who has something for you. We have to do this in one take, so we're not going to cut. If anything happens, just go with it and we'll see what we can do afterwards. Okay?
Word. He would be running around and he hasn't done. See, this is what you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
See? I got the impression that he moves 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. So
You-
tell me what I told you before.
He passes once, you tell him there's an error, he comes back. He does it a second time, and the third time.
We need to be over.
That's when you
So we need to be. So when you're bringing him back the second time, we need to be heading toward
go get him.
Right.
the good position.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Across the road, not to near the camera.
Right. And he hasn't seen us?
Happens.
Really?
Yes.
This is a very long job.
Okay.
See you.
Mm.
Yeah. How interesting is it?
That's what happens when you obey your intuition.
Yeah. This is very interesting.
Yes? Yes? Okay, so, ready? Yeah. Okay, so, let's roll. And action. Right, so cut. So, can we reset? Everything. No, sorry, sorry. It's okay. Should we finish it? Ready? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, can you read something again? It's actually quite tough this time.
Surely this camera would be expected to come into the angle. Surely.
Let's go. Take, so.
We're bottoming on bottoming. That people, what they don't observe, and I can
Ah.
if we don't.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We have this
Okay.
theory about people not observing. Have you observed your location?
Yeah?
How much?
That's Bing Place. Do you know why it's called Bing Place?
I'll be interested to know.
Admiral Bing, do you know about him?
No,
No,
I do
we are
not.
about to learn.
He was executed for treason for losing a naval
Ah,
battle.
that comes to mind. There's a guy called Pocock,
Yes.
a naval man who wrote a book
Okay.
on Nelson, and in his book on Nelson,
Good.
but we were always wondering, my brother and myself, is that when people walk around in London, do they pay attention to the places
Oh,
they're
great.
going to?
Some of them.
If you didn't know that Bing place, would
I
you
was
have
thinking
actually-
about this church I'd went.
That's
Yes.
I went. This was a wedding I didn't attend.
This is.
I went to this church where. Do you know the politician Richard Crossman? He was a Labour
Indeed,
politician.
he was.
He was a
Notorious
nice-
Diaries,
Notorious
he was.
Diaries.
Okay, well, his nephew was getting married in this church, and I came to the door and I had a look at it, and I kind of didn't like the feel of it.
You didn't
So,
like the feel.
No, I didn't like the feel of it. It was too political. It was too kind of
It was too formal.
pre New Labour. It was kind of
Oh, I see.
everybody was. It was the wrong atmosphere. So I sat outside here, waited for the service to finish, and then I went along to the party.
Well,
and
what would you have
went
done had you been the best man?
Well, I'd have had to go, wouldn't I?
Did you observe the door?
I did, yes.
You observed the details? You were interested in doors?
I am very interested.
Ah.
That is the thing we have found about attention. That
I'm
if
interested
you're-
in windows, doors.
If you are interested,
squares,
the
yeah.
mind pays attention.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then there's a chance that
Well, there are
people
very
will-
levels of interest.
Indeed.
There are levels of
Indeed.
interest.
Absolutely.
It's not like a movie. This is a very paranoid set.
Oh.
You know, this behind is Orwell. This is 1984.
Now I would say, as long as you know where you
Where
have,
your attention is.
I say where you have placed your mind.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in where the attention is. You can't cover everything, not consciously.
No.
But as long as you know that each step, you know where your attention is.
Well,
That's
I've walked this route thousands of times. So, because my way of moving around London is always to walk, therefore I've kind of registered all of this stuff, and I'm not necessarily doing it very attentively
Well,
every
consciously,
single time,
no.
because I've kind of at different times I've looked at this, I've looked at that, looked here, British Museum.
Okay, but
Waterstones.
if you're-
okay,
that's understandable. But if your
There-
godson came from America
Yeah.
and you were at home and you had to direct him to here,
I'm very bad at doing
Ah.
it because it's too much. Being honest. What do you leave out?
that is the thing.
That's
The whole trick is
the
to be
whole
able to
trick is to
direct
know
him.
what
So
to leave
he's
out.
on the telephone
Yeah.
and you're describing to
Well,
him
somebody
what he's
came up to me while I was there and asked for King's Cross Station. So that was quite a challenge, you know.
That's
I could either
yes.
say, it's here.
That's
Or I
it.
should say, well, if you look at this church, then you go down
So
and...
which route did you direct
I
them?
just said, boosh.
That is
Wow,
it.
but you would
Because that's
find,
what he asked.
but you would
He said
find,
very specifically, do I walk this way, that way?
Or was this a resident of this country?
No, it was an English.
Well, how would you have directed a foreigner? Somebody
Depends
new.
if he spoke
French,
English or not.
even if they spoke broken English and said, I am new,
Yeah.
I wish to go
Yeah.
to,
Well,
I wish
that's
to,
it.
as they say, I wish to go King's Cross.
Prenez.
So in English,
Oh gosh.
how would you have directed them? Would
I'd
you have
say-
been able to
Yeah,
tell them
yeah,
the names
yeah.
of the roads?
Yeah. No, I just do it by up the end of this street, main road, turn right, there it is.
Because haven't you noticed sometimes when you
Big
give
red
people that
building.
kind of explanation, if you were to follow them, they take 10 steps, stop and ask somebody else.
Exactly.
Because you say to them that way, and they say, even if you say, do you understand, they'll nod and say yes.
Yeah.
And then they'll go off.
True.
And if you actually
True.
follow them, they will.
Well, I've
what?
often chased after them
yes,
to amend
well, you can.
Oh, you have
because I think about it, you know,
How
oh shit.
interesting that you have chased after to amend instruction. Generally, I've chased after
Because-
to re-instruct
That's it.
because you've said right
Yeah,
and they've turned left.
sure.
How interesting. But do you know other people who pay attention as they walk around the streets of London?
Yeah, lots of them. Lots of them.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are in asylums at the moment. It depends the level of attention you want to pay. I mean, driving is a reverie. Driving is a kind of dream as you move the city. It's a way of excluding yourself from what's around you. You're in this pod. All you're doing is surviving.
How interesting.
When you walk, you are open to the whole narrative of history. Every single step is kind of resonant on the ground of what's around you.
Okay, but don't you think? But it's amazing that you describe this as a pod and wheels.
And when you're in this thing, what is it? It's kind of a coffin on wheels.
But surely this is the time when drivers should be at their most attentive.
But they're not, are
But
they?
they're not.
Because their body sugars, their
Absolutely, they're
thing is dipping
definitely
at this
not.
time of day. They're on the drift.
So whilst when you're walking you can afford to be careless, perhaps you may bump into somebody
You're
sipping
tripping with something.
or sipping doctor
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your car.
You never know who you're going to meet on the
You never
street.
know
Who
who
you're
you
going
know.
to meet.
You
It's
may
interesting.
Or who may roll over your bonnet.
Because I say this route is very common. I walk it all the time. I don't always meet two brothers who come up with some sort of shtick they want to get into. But I've met equally strange and interesting people.
Oh, I see.
So that is how the city works. It's a series of collisions.
But would you notice things if things were suddenly removed?
Some of them, some not. Because sometimes I'm walking home, I'm thinking about something I've written or something I've done. I'm not really
Right.
paying attention.
So that's thought either in the past or the future.
I mean, does anybody purposely stay attentive all the
but
time?
surely
No,
the
I think not.
Buddhists, do they not have this thing about being in the moment?
Yeah.
Buddhists have this thing about being
Yes.
in the moment, neither in front, neither behind, but just concentrating on what one is doing.
Yeah.
Because they claim that too many of us we either live in the past or in the future, plans about the future and concerns about the past. So they counsel people to generally be in the moment. So as you take each step,
Yeah, well, I try to do that, but the moment is all moments, past and
but it's
present.
great to talk to
So, yeah, nice.
I'm just walking.
No, it's gone as well as I would like it to go.
Well, second box.
I must say, it is good to meet a man who does some kind
And
of
of observation,
some
some
kind
kind
of
of looking. Yes. Well, this is the second box. Well, what counts as the second box? Second in the left. Interesting. There's a big tree? More of it, I must say. I never known so many people coming to this.